Good morning. Happy coffee talk. It's just as misty and gray as yesterday, so I'm not even going to update you on the weather. It is, a cloud is sitting on Washington State, and it just stays there like most of the day, too. My coffee this morning is in this new mug that I got from downtown Snohomish. It has like these little, it almost look like owl eyes, which is why I like it because I have a big owl tattoo if you've ever seen my arm. It looks just like it. And I'm drinking my combo of cacao brew and Black Rifle. This is my signature blend, and it's delicious. It's really growing on me. I wonder though if I'm not like tripling my caffeine now that I think about it. I didn't check, but I have been a little bit less like sleepy at night. So maybe it's too much caffeine. And it just dawned on me when I was saying that out loud. But quick reminder before we jump into the coffee talk concept for today. Scholarship applications close tonight at midnight. So if you're listening to this on Tuesday, January 25th, tonight at midnight is when the scholarship applications close. So if you have been thinking about doing it, now is your time. This is your reminder. 1 year of coaching we're giving away for free. Our full program. You have a one-on-one fitme certified coach who checks in with you every week and helps give you a plan and support. You get 12 months of personalized workout and exercise programming with personal training sessions. You get 6 mindset coaching calls. I mean, this program is ridiculous. This is everything that I have learned in 8 years of coaching put into the flagship program. Like this is for a transformational year. And so anyways, we are giving away one spot and I'm going to be announcing it tomorrow on Facebook Live at 7 Eastern time, 4 Pacific time. So apply. I'll put the link below in the comments if you're listening on Facebook, and I will put the link in the show notes if you're checking this on the podcast. Okay, let's get to it. I want to share with you this really important idea about change. I kind of broke my finger 6 or 8 weeks ago. So I do jujitsu. I don't know if you know that, but I started doing jujitsu about 2.5 years ago. And I love it. And it took a little while, by the way, to grow on me. But anyways, I've had a couple little injuries doing jujitsu. It happens. You're learning something new, kind of like, things happen. So anyways, about 6 to 8 weeks ago, I didn't even feel it. I just looked down at the end of class and my finger was burning, like right at the knuckle. It almost felt like I burst a blood vessel. So it's right on my like top knuckle towards the end of my finger of my ring finger on my left-hand side. So anyways, it's burning and I'm like, ow, like what did I do to my finger? It felt like I burst a blood vessel. Well, that night my finger hurt quite a bit. It was difficult to sleep. It definitely didn't feel good. And then the next day, it kind of looked weird. It was bent. And then ever since then, actually, so for the past 6 to 8 weeks, it is bent at the top. And apparently, so when I went to the doctor 2 weeks ago for my knee, I did not ask him about my finger. I looked at the picture that's on the wall there. So I looked, he had a chart of injuries. And I saw my hand on there. I saw the exact thing that the way my finger looked, and it had already anticipated what it could be, but it's called mallet finger. It's basically there's this tiny, I want to say it's a tendon that connects from the bone to your other part of your finger, and it's really a common injury that you can snap that tendon, and when you do, your finger stays bent at the top. So that's what happened to me. And I was looking at it, I was like, oh, that's me. That's mallet finger. So I took a picture of it and then I went home after my knee injections and I started looking up what's mallet finger. I assumed incorrectly that this was not something you could fix. I thought, oh crap, this is just like a thing that when it happens, like you have bent finger, or maybe some people get hand surgery, but that's not for me. So I'm just going to have bent finger. Well, turns out you can fix your finger. You're supposed to splint it almost immediately. So according to what I've read on the internet, if you splint your finger up at the top knuckle, so in a tiny little splint, and you do it almost right away, then you can have your finger fix itself. And I was like, well, dang it. I definitely did not do that. And now here we are like 4 weeks later. Okay, 4 to 6 weeks later, bent finger, but definitely not healed. So just like yesterday, I was telling you, I am the eternal optimist. I decided I'm fixing my finger anyway, even though it's been 6 to 8 weeks of it being bent. And so I bought a little splint and we had to adjust it. We actually had to my husband had to saw off some of it because it was too long for my finger. And now I have this tiny splint. So if you're watching on Facebook or if you're in YouTube, it's a tiny splint designed to keep my finger straight. So here's the thing. I wear it and it doesn't feel very good. And when I take it off, what's cool is that I look at my finger and it is straight for like an hour. It straightens my finger and I can still bend it and stuff. So I can see something is happening. But after an hour or so, it just goes back because it's been 6 to 8 weeks of it being injured. So of course it's going to go back. And then it's bent. And again, so from what I read on the internet, I'm going to need to splint my finger for 6 to 8 weeks for it to potentially heal, which I probably could have messed it up because I just didn't do it soon enough. But anyways, it dawned on me that this is very similar in timeline to other changes that you may or may not be trying to make in your body and how it actually works. So for example, if you are starting to do some strength training, this is you're just getting going with it again. You might do 1 day of it and feel kind of sore, but nothing actually changes, right? You're like, oh man, I did a workout yesterday, but like your muscles didn't really truly adapt to be stronger if you just do it 1 day. For our bodies, our physical bodies to adapt to something, it typically takes 6 to 8 weeks. So this applies across the board, but I think this also applies to our mind. So first, bodies. So in this example, I'm talking about strength training. What's another example that this would apply to? Losing weight. So if you, for example, are making some changes to your nutrition, if you're doing fitme and you're a part of the fitme, then you kind of have this plan for how to do it with boundaries and eating quality food. We add in quality. So you have this thing and you're like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I am eating differently. And for 1 week, you eat differently. And you may even start to see change. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm down 2 pounds or my clothes fit better. If you stop, AKA pull the splint off, it's just going to go back because it hasn't been enough time for your body to make the adaptation for it to stick. So in order for weight loss to really, truly stick and for it to become like your new weight or your new body, that consistency needs to be maintained for a long time. And sometimes our bodies won't even change. So I just gave you one scenario in which you're seeing progress, but another scenario is like you're doing the things and you're like, I don't understand. It's still not working. It takes time. When I was doing a lot of one-on-one coaching, we would set targets, our intentions, and then 2 weeks later we'd have a check-in. And if I was coaching someone, they would be like, well, I haven't seen any changes yet. And I'm like, it's just not been long enough. 2 weeks isn't long enough. And they couldn't believe it. But it's not long enough to see change sometimes. It needs to be more like 6 to 8 weeks for you can really see the change. Habit changes are very similar. I bet you're like, I'm going to drink water. And every day you drink water for a week. And then you stop. You take the splint off. And it just goes right back. You're not drinking water anymore. You're back to drinking coffee all day, all the time with, dash of wine at night. Like no more water. But that's because after just 1 week, that habit change isn't going to stick. We have to stick with it for multiple weeks in a row. I was just having a conversation with a fitme client yesterday, and we were talking about this because she was making some serious progress. She had done some major changes to her meal prep routine. She had done some planning that was working. She was following through on her workouts, and she had done things to create that consistency. But 3 weeks in, some of those things had started to fall away. And I told her, I said, those things that you did to create that can't go away yet. We're not there yet. It takes multiple weeks for us to change our routines, our behaviors, our body, our habits, our mindset, all of it takes a lot of time. So there's nothing wrong with you if you can't stick with it after a couple days. That's just the way we're wired. But if you do stick with it, if you can give yourself the support that you need to stick with those changes over multiple weeks or multiple months or even a year, if you give yourself the support, well, then you are going to see the change. And my finger is a funny but very powerful and correct example of how this works. By myself, my finger, it would stay bent. It would stay bent. Life made it bend. Life kind of got it. Maybe life got you. And if you don't actually do anything about it, nothing is going to change. But if you do something about it and you give yourself some support, so in my finger's case, support looks like a splint that actually fits. One, remember I told you I got a splint and it didn't fit, so we adjusted it. A splint that actually fits me, and that I'm going to wear, and it's straightening my finger. And here's the funny thing too that I want to say about this splint. It kind of doesn't feel good. It's uncomfortable. I don't love it all, And maybe the changes that you're making, the support that you're getting, the accountability, maybe the workouts, maybe it's the food. It doesn't feel comfortable in the beginning. And that's okay too, because you're making long-term changes. And the support right now is helping my finger stay straight. The support is doing it. And then over time, as it becomes my finger's new normal, I'm going to take the splint off and my finger will continue to stay straight. And I don't care if you are a doctor and you're listening to this and you're like, Chrissy, it's too late. Your finger is bent. I don't believe you. I watched it straighten after just one day. So I think it can straighten. And I think like splinting it straight is the way to go. Now, I want to challenge you with a couple of things. One, are you being too aggressive with your timeline? You're not giving yourself the time that it takes to see changes. And have those changes stick, whether that is nutrition changes, exercise, mindset changes, habits, routine, whatever. Weight loss, it takes time. Second question, are you giving yourself the support that you need? Or are you just looking at something that you don't like the way that it is and wishing that it would change but not doing anything about it? You actually have to put support in place. You have to change what it is doing right now. What you are doing right now has to change, and you have to put support in place. And then are you comfortable with the discomfort? Are you willing to be uncomfortable for a little while to see that change happen? That's my coffee talk message for you this morning. So I'd love to hear from you. Do you need to put a splint on your nutrition and exercise, your healthy habits? You need to do something different? Let me know. Shoot me a DM on Instagram or put it in the comments in the Facebook group. I'd love to hear from you. So thanks as always for plugging into Coffee Talk. It means a lot to me to share a cup of coffee with you each morning. If you haven't done so, subscribe to Coffee Talk on your favorite podcast platform. And if you're listening on the podcast and are not a part of our Facebook group, go to Facebook, search fitme free community and request to join the group. I will approve you in there. We do diet-free, sustainable habits that work in your real life. And you want to be a part of that in there. If that's what you're looking for, then you want to be a part of it because it's a positive place to be with ideas and inspiration and accountability. So I hope to see you there, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.